top of the morning, and to some people, top of the afternoon. Straight to the point, sports and entertainment. Hit the like button. Sub to the channel if you're not a member, and also hit the notifications to get all of my content and as well as all of my videos. Salute to the whole entire Lions Den, basketball, and as well as boxing community. And we're talking hoops right now. Um, uh, I wanna talk about the situation that's going on with Charles Barkley and as well as Steve Kerr, and pretty much Charles Barkley had made his comments very well known in regards to Steve Kerr and his coaching. Um, what's up, Alex? I see you in the building, man. Um, as you know, the United States, they played yesterday, which was a great game. By the way, please hit the like when you come in here, man. It's at the three dots at the top. It was a great game, as you know. The United States, they ended up coming back from a 17-point deficit, led by uh, the brother Steph Curry, the babyface assassin, who they like to call, and he had 36 points. Joel Embiid uh, came down. I want to say he had 19, and then, but the thing about it is I was pleased by the defense that was played towards the end of the game. That's what we wanted to see. And of course, you had a few guys that came in through the stretch. You had Kevin Durant that played a good game down the stretch, especially defensive wise and everything. But then Serbia had came showing their more of their intellect, their basketball IQ, as opposed to their skill, so to speak, or whatever. That's not to say that they weren't coming out blazing, but they they were doing they sustained the lead um, up until the fourth quarter, and then that's when the United States went ahead and started really taking over and everything. I'm not gonna call this game. I know a lot of people are sitting there saying that they're doing this for the media, they're cheating them and stuff like that. But um, that's not what we're here to talk about. That's not what we're here to talk about, right? What we're here to talk about is what Charles Barkley is saying and what his concerns were. And I agree 100% with what Charles Barkley had to say in regards to Steve Kerr. Um, he's not using his personnel right. Okay. Um, Listen, I know that Serbia, the first time that we played them, um, we pretty much ran them to the ground. Okay. And a lot of people feel like there was no reason that Serbia should have been as close as they were. Okay. Um, I know that Serbia probably did, led by Jokic. And Jokic has always been a player. He's a smart player, man. And it rubs off on, the other guys, particularly when you have two other NBA players that are on the team. Too, you have Bogdanovich, who had a really good game, um, and those guys, you saw the basketball IQ as opposed to the skill. Now, you could say that they were guns blazing in terms of the 3 point. They were red hot, and also they had an answer each time that the United States tried to put them away, or pretty much the United States was playing catch up the whole entire game. Um, and I'm gonna talk about Steph Curry in a separate video. Now, I felt like all of this. The reason why I agree with Charles Barkley is because I felt like all of this could have been prevented had he used uh, Jason Tatum like he was supposed to. Yes, I know Joel Embiid. You know he had a monster game, and I know that Steph Curry, although Steph Curry has been struggling, he was able to have his best game and have a monster game himself. You know, now hold on 1 minute, y'all. Now, had it not been for Steph Curry being uh, consistent throughout the game, the United States wouldn't have never been in the game. Okay, and we got to understand that the difference between Steve Kerr and the difference between a guy like Chuck Daly. I'm using the '92 team and the difference between Krzyzewski too. Okay, is that he actually they actually knew how to use their personnel. Now, the only thing that you could give Steve Kerr in this instance is the fact that these guys are they're actually winning. Okay, they were in the dogfight. You know what I'm saying? Just like we were in the dogfight against Spain that that 1 year, and um, down the stretch, the USA was able to show their prowess. And I always think about the Spain game because they were in a dogfight against Spain. Um, but this isn't people got to understand, man, that this is not going to be easy. Now, I do agree with what Perk had to say, and I agree somewhat with what Brian Whitehorse had to say in the fact that the world, it's the talent level has increased, a lot. You know what I'm saying in comparison to back then. But even though that the talent has increased or whatever, it's still, I think that the United States back then still would, when we talk about the '92 Dream Team, because like I said, that's the measuring stick. I still think that they still would have been able to do a better job and not get down in that deficit by that much, even with the talent level increasing, because you have to think that we relied heavily back then. A lot of the players relied heavily on their fundamentals, um, as, as opposed to just raw, just straight shooting all the time, or just raw athleticism all the time. You know what I'm saying? Um, and of course, you have players that were able to do both, like a Michael Jordan and um, like a Kobe Bryant and everything. But I don't want to get I don't want to get into that type of comparison with that with those eras. But what I want to say, I want to focus and spin the block on talking about Charles Barkley. He was 100% correct, and Steve Kerr, man, he hasn't been, you know, he 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 could be using his personnel a lot better, man. Just in my from what I see. Um, Jason Tatum, man. Like I said, I'm gonna keep talking about this. Now, I forget who the player was. I want to say. I think it was Derek White. It was one of the Celtics players that had talked about this, but it was Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard of the Boston Celtics. He came out and made a statement, and he said that this can only fuel Jason Tatum's fire, so to speak. All right, like in terms of him not getting the playing time, in terms of him not being used like he's supposed to, and everything. And I agree with him 100%. Jason Tatum next year, this is really going to make him, this is going to get him in the gym, and it's going to make him even work that much harder to show Steve Kerr that you should have been using me better throughout this whole entire course of these Olympics. You know, uh, Jason Tatum is he's gotten much better with his playmaking. You saw that in the finals. He was playing the playmaker role. To some degree, you could say that he was playing like the Scotty Pippen role, so to speak, or whatever. Because although his shooting wasn't the best, he was making up for it with his defense, and he was making up for it with his playmaking. He was making up for it for his effort, and he was making up for it with other doing other things that don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet like it's supposed to. And I'm glad that Jason Tatum, he pretty much has evolved his game, so to speak. Now, yes, I understand that finally Joel Embiid has had a good game, but I'm gonna say this about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is finally learning how to play championship basketball because he doesn't know championship basketball because he's never been in situations like that. Steph Curry, he knows championship basketball, regardless of what you want to say, regardless of how many finals MVP he has, he still has four championship rings. Kevin Durant, even though he was on the well-oiled machine, he still was a Finals MVP, and he does have two rings. Okay, you got to give him that. LeBron James, okay, although everybody, we know everybody gonna be critical of LeBron and everything. He still is the champion. Joel Embiid is not. Okay, and then of course you have Derek White. You do have Drew Holiday, but you have Jason Tatum on there, right? And he is the champion. Joel Embiid is not. Now I'm not trying to make this. Oh yeah, Joel should have sat the bench and Jason Tatum because it ended up working in the end. But this was a close call. And listen, that would have been, I think, the biggest. I think that would have been the most heavily heavily criticized critique that you could have made if they would have taken an L to Serbia. They would have been talking about the fact that you should have played Jason Tatum more as opposed to Joel Embiid or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I mention those guys, and you can even throw Devin Booker, and you can throw Anthony Edwards in there. You can also throw Anthony Davis in there because they've been to the finals. And with the exception of Anthony Edwards, he hadn't been to the finals, but he went to the Western Conference Finals, which is clearly much further than Joel Embiid. But he hasn't been using his personnel properly. Now, have they been winning? Yeah, but a lot of people will tell you that there's no way that we should have been down by that much. One of the things that's wrong with this, though, that I did notice throughout these Olympics, man, is that we have trouble guarding the perimeter. That's one thing. Okay. AD really didn't he really didn't show up. I felt like for AD you could have put a guy in Jason Tatum, could have put him out there. You know what I'm saying? And Jason Tatum is longer. I mean, Jason Tatum is longer than what people think. He's not longer than AD, but he's longer than what you think. You know what I'm saying? He has a big wingspan, and Jason Tatum is 6'8", around that 6'9" area. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and Jason Tatum has gotten better with his defense. Why not use him more? Why not utilize him more? You know, you got Bam out of bio out there, and you know everybody knows how I feel about Bam. But the thing about it with Bam was a negative. He was one of the ones that led in terms of negative efficiency on the court, and so did Devin Booker, from my knowledge. There was a couple, two other guys. I think Derek White too. Those guys were in the negatives. Uh, Steph Curry, for all the criticism that he's been taking and everything, Steph Curry was a plus 20. Okay, Steph Curry was a plus 20. Now, here's another thing, and I know that this is probably going to hurt some people's feelings or whatever. I'm going to say something about uh, LeBron, number one LeBron, and number one Durant too. Okay, now Steve Kerr, I felt like, okay, in this instance right here, he got saved by those guys right there, down the stretch. Okay, because it wasn't necessarily just buckets per se. It was their defense, and they were able to stop and put a halt to what Serbia was actually doing. LeBron actually played defense as opposed to playing what they know as the one man show type of a game that he's playing or whatever, because everybody knows that it's difficult to play around LeBron. That's from regular teammates and role players to superstar talents that you have on the team right there. And then of course Durant, although Durant maybe not, he probably didn't have as much as a Steph Curry or whatnot, but sometimes it's not, like I said, it's not all about points and everything. It's your impact, it's your commitment to D. And even you saw that finally, Durant, even at 30 something, 36, 37 years old, he was getting out there and actually committing to defense. You know what I'm saying? And these guys, they showed that they wanted it more. That's what pretty much saved Steve Kerr, not his adjustments, not his rotation. His rotations are questionable. You never question Coach Mike Krzyzewski. You never questioned Chuck Daly. You didn't question these guys on what they were doing in terms of their rotations. Never had to question those guys. And so I agree with Charles Barkley 100%. Charles Barkley does have the right in this instance right here to make sound criticism and constructive criticism on Steve Kerr. Sorry about that, y'all. Um, what was I saying? Oh, okay, yeah. Um, you never had to question Krzyzewski, and you never had to question a guy like Chuck Daly. when they were coaching because and you know what, I'm gonna say this too right here, and Charles, like I said, Charles Barkley got the right to criticize because of course he won the gold medal in '92 with Barcelona and everything, but people got to understand, and I must make this statement again. Charles Barkley was the best player on that '92 Dream Team. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand that. When you look at Charles Barkley or whatnot, you look at Charles Barkley and then you look at Magic and Jordan and Larry Bird. No, Charles Barkley. Everybody would tell you that Charles Barkley was the best player on that team, and that was partly because Chuck Daly, he knew how to use them. And I'm gonna say this: I don't think Chuck Daly gets enough credit for what he did. People think that Chuck Daly was just a mastermind in terms of going out there with the Detroit Pistons and just beating guys up. No, uh, Chuck Daly didn't know X's and O's. He was a sound defensive coach. It was just that, of course, all of these other players, they chose to take it to a whole nother level in terms of the physicality. The physicality is different when we talk about FIBA and FIFA rules. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different mentality. This is not the NBA. So that physicality that Serbia brings, the physicality that the Germanys are going to bring, the physicality that all these other teams are going to bring is going to be different than what you're going to be accustomed to seeing in the NBA. In the NBA, they can't play they wouldn't be able to play like this. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I can agree with. I think Kendrick Perkins has said that. But I'm 100% in agreement with Charles Barkley and what he had to say in regards to Steve Kerr. I've been critical of Steve Kerr this whole entire Olympics, man. I've been and what's been saving Steve Kerr is actually the talent. It's not necessarily, I would say, his coaching rotations, his coaching adjustments, or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly, and a lot of people feel like Coach he Coach Kerr really got exposed more so in the I would say in the South Sudan game. Because we gotta hand it to Roy Ivy. He did a tremendous job against Steve Kerr, and everybody knows that. I think South Sudan was the blueprint of, if anybody could have a chance of beating us, that was more sort of our blueprint, because it did come down to coaching in a lot of in a lot of instances. Some of it was our play, because we got to remember, man, we came out flat. Now I know some people thinking that we're just gonna run over France and all this other stuff. I'm not looking at it like that. I'm not looking at it like this. I think that this last game, this gold medal game, is going to be tough. You know. Now, am I rooting for the U.S. to win? Yeah, I'm always rooting for the U.S. to win. You know, and I did say that I did like games like this. I want to see I want to see tough competitive games. I don't want to see blowouts and all this other stuff. You know, but have we lost? Oh yeah, Steve Kerr would have definitely got the smoke. Matter of fact, he wouldn't have got the smoke. He would have got the fire. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't just gonna get the smoke. He would have got the fire. He would have got. He would have got the what you call. He would have got the campfire. He would have got the bonfire. You know what I'm saying? Not just the smoke, because and I would have criticized him about every game that's been going on, because the teams are going to be scouting, they're going to be looking, they're going to be looking for tendencies, stuff like that, and plus these some of these guys, they watch these guys on a regular, so you know that's one thing that you could pinpoint out too. But like I said, man, I agree with Charles Barkley what he was saying. Y'all let me know what you think. Make sure you leave your comments, like the video, share it, subscribe, hit them notifications too. Straight to the point, sports and entertainment, man. I'll get at y'all later.